Welcome back to the channel, which is Spencer Speaks Motivation. Really appreciate the feedback and the love shown with the previous video. Really appreciate that on a high note, and yes, it's just more encouraging for us to just dive into this personal branding journey and making the most of it. As you've known and as I've introduced, this is Spencer Khadebe, and yes, welcome to the channel, guys. And today we're going to be talking about something also still aligning to personal branding and me using some of my marketing background and just sharing some of the concepts that I love about marketing and then trying to infuse them to how we can actually use them for personal branding. So today what we're going to be talking about, we'll be talking about the thoughts around products. Now, we know them, we buy them, and some associate with us, some are just some products that we just don't think about. We don't know what they really are, so we're going to go through the types of products that are out there and find a connection to how those products align to personal branding. And then maybe afterwards, in the end, we can really ask the question and answer it as to what product are you? Or what has your brand been projected to be? Or what product is it that we have found it to be? And so we're going to just jump right into it. So the four types of products that we're going to talk about. Number one is convenient products, which are also known as impulse products. Talk about shopping products. We're going to talk about specialty products, and I'm just going to touch on four, which the last will be unsought products. Now, when you talk about convenient products, impulse products, these products are easily accessible. We know them. They are strategically placed even when you go purchase in the stores. They are placed right when you're going to make a purchase or pay off or check out on the goods that you might have had. It is your chocolates, it's your Coca-Cola, which is in the thumbnail, it's your magazines. So it's products that people have not generally thought about before they enter the store. It was just a convenient product. It's driven by impulse based on the large amount of advertising that is pushed for you to be able to buy the product. Obviously, when we want to talk about this types of products and what product are you might seem a bit controversial in nature, but there's always just two sides to it in terms of the positive as well as the negative. And when you look at the positive is what you would choose to enhance, and then if you're looking at the negative is what you choose to just maybe have not negative but just a gray line in actually finding out exactly what it is that you need to do and how you need to position yourself as an individual in relation to that. And so we're going to talk about the convenient products. The convenient products, I've said, it's mostly bought frequently. It is a product that's fully accessible, typically also low priced, and it's not something that if you were to consent to buy and purchase, it wouldn't break your bank. And that's what that convenient product is. Now, when you talk about convenient products in relation to personal branding, is that some people are readily accessible. Some people actually they are convenient to others. Some people are not valued highly based on what people perceive them to be, and therefore they seem to be convenient products. If I need it, I don't have to think about it. I just get it, and it has no value. It's like lint or in any way that people can put it in a negative connotation. But also, in light of convenience and accessibility, is that some people and how they've branded themselves in such a way that they are so esteemed that there's no access point to them. They can't be entered or can't be engaged or in any way because the entry barrier to them is so high. But there are those people with such personalities and such brands in terms of who they are, who have the ability to be spoken to be enjoyed, and be granted and give everybody access to them. Yes, they might be deemed as low value in terms of how they do those things, but in essence, the quality and the benefit of their convenience helps surpass anything. So that's just in a nutshell convenient and impulse products. Then our next product is a shopping product. Now this shopping products usually do take a little bit of comparison. It's not frequently bought. It takes a lot of looking around, reviewing before the person makes a decision. It's fully accessible, but not as much because you need to consent. Such things such as your iPhone 15, the stores are not as many, but when somebody wants it, they watch the reviews, the the Apple show before they actually launch the product or the upgrade or anything like that, and they wait and watch tech vlogs to see what is being said about it in terms of making the decision to actually buy it. It's not frequently bought, and consumers usually compare its attributes and characteristics to others so that they can make the decision around them. And also, what happens with these products, as I've said, that there's a need for it to be spoken about more, so there's more value to it. So even when you promote it, it is not in your face because it needs to demarcate what type of product that is. So you never really see all the time an Apple advert on your TV because it wants to set itself apart of being a product, even though it's a shopping product, almost bordering a specialty product that you need a lot of consent to get to. So in terms of personal branding, we do have those people who are not frequently accessible, but their value is highly esteemed based on how they've positioned their branding to be. And they're not people that you need to in any way just hop onto as anyone would. You take a bit of time to try and understand them, and you compare their characteristics against others so that you can find that grounding where you can engage. You can find a way to be able to interact and find a way to engage from that premise. And so that is the nature and what you normally find from a shopping product that is not really easily gotten, which is compared to electronics as well as phones that people can actually want. But that's the beauty about it, is that you don't readily get access to them, and therefore if you don't, they hold value. They understand themselves to who they are. They're not frequently consumed, and it's not to say that their entry barrier is so high that you can't get to engage, but it's merely to say that how they are positioned. Because as we've spoken about branding and all of that in the previous video, which you can check out as well, is that depending on how you brand yourself, depending on how your personal branding is, there's a level of value that is associated with who you are. So whatever value that you give out, you automatically give people permission to demarcate you to what product you might be, what brand you might be, and therefore how then can they respond to you versus how you also respond to them. And so this is what you refer to as your shopping products that you have. And then also, just moving on to that, we're talking about now specialty products. Specialty products are those products that have all the time have history and a clear distinction in high value branding positioning. They're just that. We talk about your Ferraris, your high end luxury branding such as your Louis Vuitton. You see that even when you think about them, you almost scale yourself against that actual product. You look at yourself, can I afford it? No. Yes, I can. And therefore your approach to it and mindset is totally different from somebody who would think of it in a certain way. But you can't be a specialty product with a, how do I put it, with a convenience and impulse. You don't approach them in the same manner, right? If you're gonna buy a specialty product, it's gonna be taken care of because there's some attachment to the value of it that it appreciates with time. The people now, in terms of their personal branding and how they've made themselves to be, that their value is so important in our lives that we know that without them, everything about that they would have done lives with us maybe for a very long time based on the value of what it is. And I think that's what we're really trying to touch on here, is that at the crux of understanding these products, you need to know what value you are. What value do you carry? What value do you subscribe to? Or what is it about you that sets you apart from other people, and so that people do not consider you in a certain way or behave around you in a certain way based on how you have made yourself to be. Your value is more important, because if you understand that if you can treat bubblegum in that way, how then do you translate that to treat people in the very same way? Why can't you find the value in them, in trying to understand what product they are, so that you can be able to apply yourself towards them in a way that is much more suitable, non-offensive, and mostly encouraging and maybe motivational and inspirational? So that's where it is. It becomes a bit tricky because a lot of people see themselves to be specialty products. Specialty products, the buyers don't spend a lot of time comparing because they understand the value, right? They know. You never see a Lamborghini advert. You never see it, really. How those brands have positioned themselves in our minds is always with the prestige, whether it's in an opening scene in a movie and you see that brand and it's slowly written where they focus on the logo or on the actual car and what it has and all the aesthetic appeal, where it goes. You'll find it being in Monte Carlo, or all ends where it's it has the richest people per square mile in the world. So you will see it there, and who else is there, who carries these things, and etc. And the weird thing, if I think about it, is that somehow, somewhere, you find that people in their character are shopping products, but what they associate with themselves are specialty products, which obviously at times becomes a contradictory thing in terms of understanding and navigating around people in that way. Because what then happens is, by you seeing what they carry on the outer part, you already associate their personal branding to that. If I come in a Ferrari and I have a Louis Vuitton card holder and etc., and I go to a restaurant and I go to a Kasi restaurant, people can't separate the two. They can't think that this guy could actually be a Kasi guy who actually likes being here, and this is who he is. Whatever you want to place that to be in terms of product, but they would immediately associate in terms of treatment as a specialty product based on what I carry. But sometimes your character based on that cannot always be what you actually look on the outside. And that is where we need to speak about when we speak about value in terms of who you are and what it is that you stand for. Again, with regards to the specialty products, is that apart from what we have to, whatever that we've mentioned, they are obviously highly priced, based on perception, obviously, and history and quality and all that is associated with them. They're purchased less frequently. They're highly priced. They seldomly compared because we already know what they stand for and who they are, and they're only available in selected places. You don't really get to have access to that all the time regarding specialty products. One thing that I also thought about regarding value is that your value is always associated with your environment. So you can be a specialty product because of where you are. So even if the perception about you being who you are, based on the environment, it dictates instantly what you become. you know. When you think about a Coca-Cola in a local petrol station or gas station, if you may, or 7-Eleven or one of ours in South Africa, Total, Engine, you buy it there. It might be a bit priced compared to you buying it in a local store because of the level of convenience that you have it, and therefore the price goes up from that end. But a Coca-Cola, very same product in an airplane, because of the level and the environment where it is priced highly. I looked into some business day articles and looked at how they're compared in restaurants, and the prices are like 20% up based on the environment where they belong. So that is what really happens in relations to products. It's the environment. So sometimes you might think you are certain products. It's not because of you. It's based on how the people whom you are around dictate that for you. If they dictate that you are a convenient product, something that can be used conveniently and forgotten because you're already available, that's what you're going to be. If you're a shopping product and how you carry yourself out and how you are, you'll be deemed in that light. If you're a specialty product where you're not readily available, but your value is high because of that, then you are treated. So your environment always dictates what it is that you become. And so with the last type of product that we're talking about are unsought products. The word unsought meaning you're not really looking for them, but they are important. And I think in talking and just planning around this is that this became one of my favorite products, because unsought products are products that people just don't look for, but they have value. They're important. They're all around us. We don't even think about them. We know that we don't like them, but they're there. And as you've seen the thumbnail, one of them is life insurance. Life insurance is also important. It's an unsought product. So what does the marketers have to do to make you like it? They have to be aggressive. They need to put out a lot of advertising, a lot of it, so that you can actually like it. One of the ones that we have in South Africa, you can ask anybody, based on the aggressive marketing and advertising applied to it, is clientele. A lot of people don't really go out and say, you know what, I'm looking for clientele. It's unsought. Nobody's looking for it. But because of the aggression and the marketing done towards that, people end up buying to it because it's unsought, such as your fire extinguishers. They are also unsought products. And I think there's some value to them as well. Is unsought products are, in terms of personal branding, is that they're the people who are very important, but people just don't really realize or take them for granted. Yeah. Their value is also high in respect to what it is, and sometimes people don't think their importance is relevant. Now imagine you don't have life insurance, you don't have a funeral cover, and something tragic happens, God forbid, in your life that will need those things. Then it becomes more important. Medical aid, right? All those various things that are important, then they become very important in your life because it affects the people that you love the most. What about your personal branding related to that? You are a person, you know your value, you know what you're bringing, but nobody looks out for you. Nobody says, I'm going to look out for this individual. And therefore you are characterized there. But because nobody's looking out for you, your value seems to be low, seems not to be really relevant, but it is. It's very much important and very much relevant, and that is what is critical to that. So find out what brand you are, what product you are. Work around what product you are. Work around what it is that you represent. Work around what value you bring to the table related to that. Right? Some of the thoughts that I had regarding that is that we need to find a way to have a solid brand value. A solid brand value leads to a high valued product. You cannot work with the one and not work with the other. In fact, the more you work on your personal branding, that elevates whatever you put out and whatever product that you deem yourself to be. That is the critical thing, right? So as I'm speaking about unsold products, you don't have to now be in people's faces all the time to get their attention for them to understand your value. Because a lot of people do that, Sometimes if you are really important, it's just as good to be in your own space and lead you to understand that in life there's always two ends, there's always two strategies, a pull and a push strategy, which we'll talk about as well in the next video of what the push and a pull strategy is. How do you work on your branding to become more valuable, more valuable, just not accessibility per se, but more valuable in nature, by understanding the two, push and pull strategy. So some of my thoughts about, just my last thoughts around this whole thing, apart from having stressed the value around it, is also looking at environment. And I reiterate that your environment dictates, and if you've noticed how all these products are placed and advertised, the convenient products are always in your face. They are where you go, they are close to your hands where you can touch and get access to them. The specialty products are always set aside. They want you to come into the store, to want you to ask and be inquisitive about, do the research, have a person from that product house to tell you about it, explain the features and sell it to you, which you'll find in macro a lot, where you see a lot of people speaking about that. Your specialty products are the ones that, if you're looking at like skin cosmetics, high-end perfume shops, they're at eye level, the aesthetic is pleasing, but it's always in the front window where you go and I'm pulled in to actually see what it has. But if you look at it also in the stores, how the shelving is done, they know that the essential products that you always need every single week, they are always placed at the back, so that you can go through an array of all these products until you get to the one that you need. But in the interim, you might have seen something that caught your eye at eye level where you can get it conveniently. And for kids, they've also strategized in placing products right at the bottom, so that when the kids see that, they can grab it immediately and get. So you see, everything works together in how there's an intention behind the end of what it is that we do. So I think in light of this, which I feel like we need a part 2, and I know this video is a bit longer than the first one, but it is important to understand that your journey of developing your brand ultimately leads to the value of your actual product. When you work on your brand, at whatever stage that we have spoken about in the previous video, you will ultimately see the relationship to what product you are. And so I just want you to just take that and consider it for yourself. And yeah, man, be nice, and all love to you. And yes, let's keep working on this personal branding journey so that we can be able to benefit holistically. All love. Cheers.